Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there's a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. Now, we are joined by Father of a Stolen Child, Neil, Brian's Logic, Elijah, 10th Man, Sleeping Warrior, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Hey, morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth, or Earth curve?
No. Not at all.
Nope. Nowhere to be found.
I just want to let you guys know that for the second day on the run, I've invited Ruhif to come on and explain his pain with respect to the White Mountains picture. And again, he's made an excuse saying that, oh, Nathan's this and Nathan's that. And the simple fact is he knows that he cannot join because if he does present his mathematics to explain where the 1,000 feet of drop or whatever it is that is claimed, he knows that he's going to be bum smacked. But he's claiming that he's going to get moderated out of existence with regards to his argument. And it's not that, is it, Ruhif? It's just that you know that your maths is wrong and you're pushing people into nonsense because you want to make them believe that there's a drop there when there is demonstrably, evidently, and calculably no drop whatsoever. Ruhif, you are a weasel. Stop snaking away and get your ass on and show your maths and feel the pain of getting your maths corrected. Weasel.
By moderated into all existence, does he mean we'll be asking him why he's using perspective exclusive feet and inches or meters values for his mathematics?
Yeah. He doesn't. He wants to be able to say what he wants to say, it not get challenged, and then everybody go, "Oh, Ruhif, you're so wonderful."
Yeah, he wants to chant.
Yeah, Ruhif.
Yeah, he wants to chant.
Yeah, if you already know that we're going to ask why you're using angular sizes in a flat Earth straw man no one's claiming, and then using feet and inches or meters in your begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculations, then that's why you don't want to come. That's just admit that. Your calculator's bunk, and you're scared of flat earthers. The tables have turned. We know it, Ruhif. We know the tables have turned. We are now setting you to task. So, for example, Ruhif, if you want us to play along, we can, like we played along with Kosho. And we can say, oh, did you think that your little straw man representation of what flat earthers claim, nobody's claiming it, was just perspective? Oh, check out this list with 87 things that are also supposed to be factored in. Let's start with weather. Check out Bev Try Thinking's little time lapse, where the whole image is moving up and down in the period of about half an hour. So if you're going to tell me weather's not a factor, we're just going to laugh at you now, Ruhif. So you can have your little straw man that you claim flat earthers are claiming, when we're not. And you can burn it at the end, but obviously you've got to factor in all the things that you've been discussed about. And Ranty has too. Check it out. Later on this evening, I'll be releasing a video that shows Ranty Flat Earth discussing a massive list, some of the items are his, of things that we actually claim are reasons why things disappear from bottom up. Well, if you're going to assert as straw man that it's just perspective, not that anybody in their right mind would do that, then I'm pretty sure that Ranty, at the very least, is very much aware that weather's a factor. And we've already, what do you know, got a time-lapse that shows that you definitely need to be factoring it in, because it's moving with the weather. As the day progresses, it's going up and down in the imagery. What are you going to say? No, it's the same every day, like Kosho did. Yeah, that'll get a good laugh too. So you can have your straw man, Ruhif, Cats, and Ranty, but I think you're all well aware that weather's real, so you need to get them into your maths. Obviously, cite which flat earther didn't use it in this straw man model that nobody's claiming that you're burning before you do stick the weather that you're going to stick in, because obviously we're going to need to verify that that's actually what we'd be claiming, unlike the straw man that you're burning.
Can I just point out as well, Ruhif is watching, and I'm going to give him a shout out because I want everyone in chat to say, hi, Ruhif, because we're all watching Ruhif. We can all see you, and we all know that you're watching Ruhif. I should be on this panel, and you should be denying, or you should be sharing your pain, Ruhif, and we all know that you won't. So everybody in chat, say hi to Ruhif, because we can all see you in chat. Not in chat, but we all know that you're watching.
Hi, Ruhif.
Go on.
Hi, Ruhif.
Moreover, we now have to debunk your claims, and that's why you're not here. We all know it. Claiming that you're going to be censored is total bollocks. I make it my point on the show to make sure that everyone gets to make their claim. I'll stop other people interrupting it. By the time they start funding muting the challenge to their claim, yeah, that's when they get shut down, yeah. But in your case, Ruhif, you're generally pretty polite, and I'll let you get to the end of your explanations that use feet and inches or meters for things that are slanting away from you, mountains, with scalars that make absolutely no sense. Unless you're trying to exclude perspective and call a horizon Earth curve. I scratch my head a little bit with that, because at the moment it's not being called Earth curve, Ruhif, which could also cause you some problems. You know, given that you're trying to prove that there's an obstruction called Earth curve, a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth, a physical obstruction that's now refracted with an R value we've debunked. And we've got liars like Rumpus coming and telling us that something you were a part of, Ruhif, the Isle of Man discussion, wasn't having a tangent drawn to a physical geometric horizon. Later to disclaim that he was, in fact, actually using a geometric horizon in all of those discussions, something that doesn't exist anymore. So I'd like to thank you, Ruhif, personally, for opening these floodgates, given that you personally were involved in some of those calculations, where you drew straight lines for the geometry as is necessary to a horizon you were claiming to be proven with this maths. That would be Earth curve horizon that we've debunked. Refracted, right, dickheads? Well, that means every single claim you made in the Isle of Man is void. You were wrong. It's all bunk. Thanks, Cats. It's nice to be able to say that. Maybe ask us where Ireland is when we point out that the horizon you were trying to claim in that argument isn't real. It's actually a second horizon that was never factored, never calculated, and in fact was used originally as a geometric position that you knew the targets were refracted because of their position with respect to that geometry that's now dead. So let's rub our hands together and talk all about every single discussion that used that calculator and its physical claims of proof of Earth curve that's now refracted, with a tangent that'll stop you doing the geometry at all. So good lads, good boys, you've done so well, Ranty. Bet you didn't think you'd be getting this much kudos from me, did you?
Wow, it's that bad, huh?
Well, damn, that was quite a rant. Are you actually responding to some chat?
Not at all, I'm responding with joy. It's been a bit stale, let's be honest. You know, I'm not going to lie. You get the odd one or two fundies that come in each week and want to rehash some old crap. Now, brilliant! We can go back and rehash it all. But the crap we rehash is globe death. That's what we're going to rehash. You know, a seeming neutral nobody wins at the end of the Isle of Man. That's all gone now. What was that you were trying to prove in the Isle of Man? That there was a physical Earth curve bulge getting in the way? Oh, no, no, no. Refracted, right?
All right.
Happy days, Arwin, is what I'm trying to say.
Does anybody know
course.
what they? Does anybody know what the actual claim is? How much of like drop is meant to be claimed? Is it like 500 feet, 1,000 feet? Does anybody know what the claim is?
We should
don't
know.
Doesn't
even
really
know-
matter. Terrestrial refraction warps it all.
No, no,
Anyway.
no, no. Let Brian
we don't
answer.
even know. Sorry, we don't even know the correct observer height. We haven't got any of the original information of the original photographer. And I did, the original photographer, Kevin Jackson, I did email him, and I haven't, as far as I know, I've got nothing back so far. So, and I've heard 3 different versions of the observer height. One was 4, sorry. One was 8 meters, one was 9 meters. The one we got on the diagram was 19 feet. And now I heard Randy saying yesterday it was 12 meters.
Perfect.
Well,
Sorry
so-
to interrupt. Sorry,
well,
I need to appoint or delegate an administrator. Who wants the task, please? Who can take notes?
Oh, I wanted to just point out how that wasn't actually answering the question. Because never mind. Go ahead. You might be on
I want
the same
somebody to
path.
start making a note of all the different observer heights we seem to have been given, and I want them noted down and who's given them. So we'll start making a list, because we're not going to be getting these heights, and I want to make that clear after the fact. So first and foremost, Neil, you're funny muting me, mate. Let's get this clear. We're starting getting a whole load of anomalies and different observer heights. Jolly good. Now let's get something clear. We, as flat earthers, do not make this claim. You find me one flat earther who says the only reason things disappear into the distance is because perspective. Only. Here's my model of a perspective-only world that doesn't factor in anything else at all. If you can find me a flat earther that claims that, I'll applaud you, because he'll be a complete retard. Nevertheless, we don't claim this. This is a straw man. So when Brian says we're going out trying to find the observer height, well, no, we shouldn't be. And we should know what the claim is. If they're debunking it as a flat earth claim, we should all be acutely aware of the claim. Because it would be our claim that they'd be debunking, but nobody seems to be aware of what's being debunked or what's being claimed, because none of us are making it. It's supposed to be a flat earth killer, right? Well, why is it that no flat earther understands what the hell's even being claimed in the first instance, let alone how it's supposed to be debunked by their utter horse crap? And who cares? Let them go to task getting what they need to build their straw man. In other words, go and get us the observer height. We've had 4 observer heights for this straw man, fundies. You got to do better. We're going to start making notes of how stupid and incompetent you are. Can't you even get an observer height right? Oh, how the tables have turned. Remember when we were being barked at to go and get the height at St. Bees? Well, now it's your turn, fuckwits, on the globe side. We've got 4 observer heights. How stupid and incompetent are you on the globe side? Get your act together and get us an observer height that's accurate. You're making claims that we haven't made to debunk using these observer heights, so you better get them right. Also, Kosho's already been set to task. Weather's real, clowns. So if you think your little straw man with only perspective is going to fly as a straw man that you burn in lieu of an actual argument flat earthers make, then you better include some bloody weather in it, because that's real, dickheads. Yeah? How'd you like us barking at you to go and get this information? Get us the legacy data. Where's the weather information? Where's the full-on tide heights for every single bit before and after, so we know how much the lay of the land's increased with all the water that's been left in as it's drained away? We want every single aspect calculated before you make any more stupid claims. You don't even know how high the guy is. It's pathetic. You think these fuckwits would have actually done some research? Cats! How stupid are you? Can't you even research your own bloody claim? Have we got to sit here and tell you how crap you are at gathering the actual data? Well, I don't mind one bit, you incompetent fool. Go and get the weather data. Obviously, weather's real. We've already debunked your stupid straw man. Weather's real. Check out Bev's time-lapse, thicko. Now go and get the legacy data for the weather, and then we'll go from there, adding things as we go. When we get to number 89, we'll see if your straw man's still flimsy enough to burn, or if it's so laden with crap that you can't even set a spark to it. We'll see how you get on when we get to the end of our list of things that we actually have said in the past would be reasons for this claim that you're debunking as a straw man. Now, chop, idiots. You're getting orders from us, so get on with it.
Yeah. No problem. Sorry about that.
I walked into some shit.
Yeah. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to
Nathan's been
say,
gone
like,
for
they
20
asked what's people are asking what's the claim. So if Nathan hasn't already made it like super clear. So let me tell you what it's not. It's not a proof of the globe Earth. Here's what they say. What we're looking at disproves that the Earth is flat. So it has to be a curved surface. That's what they're saying. So, okay, this disproves it isn't flat. What does that mean? I think that's the question everyone's asking. What does that mean in relation to what? Is there a flat Earth model? Is there some, what is it that you're saying is impossible? Illustrate it. Draw the. I don't.
Oh, they've told
it's
us.
impossible
Oh, they've told
on
us.
their
They've told us. They've
strawman
told us.
wireframe model.
They've told us.
Flat Earth.
Oh, God. They've told us. They're debunking perspective. That's what they're actually doing. And then saying flat earthers claim perspective. Therefore, if we only account for perspective and we show our only perspective doesn't match with our maths that we have done, not that we've claimed it, not that flat earthers have done it, not that flat earthers have done the maths and claimed it as a proof. It's just a straw man. But they're saying they're debunking perspective. We established that with Kojo. So, no, they're not debunking a flat earth. They think they're debunking perspective because they're idiots.
Nathan, I have something on screen there shared. Can I go forward with that now, or do you want me to hold off for a few minutes?
No, man, I'm having the time of my life, Brian. Just for Arwen's benefit. It's not a rant. I'm in a very good mood over this, just so you know.
Can I clear something up? I walked in and the first thing I heard you say was we have 4 different observer heights?
Yes.
For one observation?
That's correct. And I want a note taker to make some notes on it and who's made these claims so we can point out, guys, this straw man you're burning that nobody claims on the flat earth side, you don't even know the height. Check it out. Here's the observer height so far, and we'll keep the list going. Remember, like they used to do to us. They didn't actually do anything, any work, any graft, any investigation. They just sat in their chairs and went, you haven't got that, go and get it. Oh, you haven't got the observer height. Here's the ones we've had so far. We'll sit here in our chairs and bark orders at these clowns that are burning a straw man chocolate.
That's hilarious because I remember when they used to do that shit. So when I walked in, I said, 4 observer heights for one observation? I might want to clean that up.
Did you know they also cropped the photo?
Yeah, we know. It's a black swan. The cropped bit's a black swan. It gets better and better, Eli. This is the gift that keeps giving.
Right. The problem with the straw man fire is it might draw a lot of attention. It might give off a lot of light and a lot of heat, but it burns out really quickly if you have no substance, no wood. And then you're going to be left with nothing.
That's correct, Darwin. Yeah. Straw man burnt real bright, real fast, didn't it? And now here we are, barking orders for you to go and actually verify it and point out that how stupid have you got to be to think that things are angling away from you and have weather conditions are only going to be accountable by perspective as claimed by nobody. Yeah, that straw man's going to burn out pretty quick, Arwen, you're right.
One more clarifying question, just to satisfy my sense of humor. Has the greasy lawyer come in here to defend this?
Yes, he has.
This week?
Yeah, that didn't work out well either. That didn't work out well at all. So Rumpus came along.
Okay.
He did his bit of greasy lawyering, said it's a wonderful picture. Then we pointed out that it was a black swan. And then we pointed out that based on their arguments, the Isle of Man has a few issues now that they've got begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculation being asserted by Ranty to bring him in line with the sphere Earth belief. Well, every single calculation formally done on that particular discussion had a straight line tangent to what they thought they were claiming to be Earth curve. Not anymore. But obviously those floodgates have been bust wide open by Katz and his cronies. Well done, idiots. Rumpus got a proper pasting because of you over stuff that was long dead. It was epic. Thank you so much.
It's pretty epic.
You know the idea of fodder? The idea of fodder is like you send the weaker I was gonna say race because I'm thinking in terms of fantasy books, like goblins and stuff. Anyway, the point is, yeah, you send like some of the weaker grunts out there to dwindle down the numbers. And like,
They're
so
called shock
they've
troops.
effectively thrown themselves in front of the storm that would have been, hey, how come that boat's all the way out there? Like that was the original question. That's supposed to be going behind the curve. But you take a camera. So you change the optics and you change where the horizon is. And all we've had is them arguing for something that we didn't even know at the time. Well, I guess we did, but it wasn't as clear as with the Black Swan. It's like all of a sudden now, oh, well, there is no geometric horizon. And now we've let them cup our balls for the next year and a half talking about refraction. Like, it's absurd. Why do we feel like we need to do this much work? I want to go forward. This system needs to come down. I just don't know how to do
that. Fair enough.
Ranty said yesterday on that hangout in Gems, he said, we're not even using the correct photo. He said, we're using the other one, he said, where you see all of the things with the people on the left. Or right, he said right, but he meant left. He said, why would you want to have people in the photograph, he said. Why would you want to have people in the photograph? He tried to make it out as if that was the photograph that was on sale, or the one that they had cropped or whatever. That was the kind of, he didn't say that directly, but it was vague what he was saying, but he was leading in that direction. But you can go and look at the very one that's on sale, and it's the full photograph. So he was saying that we were using the wrong photograph first and making a joke out of it, and then making excuses for why we're using the full photograph.
I'm not using... Stop. Yeah. We're not using anything. Let's get it clear again. This is your straw man fundies. You included, Ranty. I'm not using any photograph. This has come across my desk, not the other way around. I haven't produced this. I haven't gone and got it. I haven't presented it. I haven't used it as a proof of anything. That's the point here. So, no, it's your photograph. That's why we're setting you to task to go and get weather data for a start. Obviously, a long list will follow. But we're not getting anything. We're not using the wrong photo. I, personally, couldn't give a crap about Blackpool Tower or these mountains. I don't care, Auntie. I've got no interest in them. Unless some wanker like Katz comes along and says that it's a flat earth killer, even though nobody's claiming it except him. At that point, it becomes his little straw man that he's trying to burn with damp matches. And I'm here to laugh at him, and you, and Ruhif, and any other clown like Kosho that might come along to try and defend it on your behalf. We'll laugh at them. We'll point out it's a black swan, tell our audience how it's a black swan, why it's a black swan, and I couldn't give a crap about the legacy data, because it's not mine. Somebody's presented it as a flat earth killer, did you say? Yeah, I've just taken ownership of it. It's mine now. Do I care where it came from? Do I care that somebody shouldn't have put people in if they were selling it? Not really, Ranty. It's pretty pathetic. But I will take ownership of it as a black swan, destroying the globe, and I'll allow it to open the floodgates for the geometric horizon that was argued in the Isle of Man discussions and any other debate that uses that calculator. Yeah, I'll use all of those things. What's that? There's people in it. Guys, all bets are off. It can't be used as a black swan. We're not going to use it to destroy Earth as a sphere. There's people in it. Why would I do such a thing like that? Why would I? I wouldn't. It came to me. I just sat here and it came my way. Without any weather data or a correct observer height. I mean, that's pretty poor, Katz, Ruhif and Ranty. Why have we got 4 observer heights? Are you really that incompetent? I mean, God, Anthony had to tell me that you were going to Google Earth for it. I mean, Jesus wept. You got to get your tape measures out, Ranty. You've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, mate. You know what needs to be done. So get on with it. We'll sit here and tell you how wrong it is when you do.
Google Earth? Weren't they running from Google Earth like 4 years ago?
No, now they're using it for observer heights.
Yo, you guys
Guys,
are getting funnier every day.
Should we trim out all of the offensive comments that Anthony had thrown his way from your side about using Google Earth for an observer height? I think we could use every single word that was used against Anthony against you in this example with total justification. And we all know how thick everybody thought Anthony was for using Google Earth, because that's totally unreasonable. No. You're going to have to go out and buy a very, very good copy of Ordnance Survey Digital, and you're going to show us on there. Then you're going to verify it with a tape measure, like we had to, remember? Yeah, chop. Given that you're claiming this photo, you're presenting it as a flat earth straw man to burn, so you'll be getting the information, and we would point out how stupid you are for not having it in the first place. Should have all this to hand, lads. God, we've been through this, but you obviously don't realise how much work's involved in making up such a straw man that's already burnt out. Yeah, we're going to hold you to task on this indefinitely. And every time we see you, we're going to ask you, where's the weather data for your little proof? See your thought disproved perspective? Where's that data, mate? Like, what's his name? Not Ranty, I was about to say Ranty, but the Rumpus. Where's that ray tracing for Anthony on his belly seeing, quote, shore to shore, end quote, the Rumpus? That's right, proving flat earth Rumpus, that's right. Where's that data? Remember when we had you over the ropes? Well, we're going to bring that up again now, aren't we? Yeah, it's been 3 years, Rumpus, of you saying you'd have it tomorrow. Dog's eating my homework.
Well, the last time he addressed that, he was about 99.5% there.
Yeah.
Actually said that.
Hang on, Anthony, I didn't get to do what I was doing.
Oh, go on then. Nathan won't shut up. That's what the problem
I'm sorry. I'm so excited about all this. You can tell. Go ahead, Brian. I've got you on screen again.
Nathan's hype right now, though. Because this is funny, though. You can't blame Nathan for being hype. This is hilarious.
It's great. Go ahead, Brian. You're on mute.
Brian.
Sorry. I was all ready. That Anthony is the problem. Right. Right. I'll make this fast as possible. This is, you can critique whatever you want on this. This is just some rules I made up for concerning flat earth and globe earth, angular size change rules, how to calculate for. Okay, for flat earth, step 1, negating all visual, refractive, weather, and temperature effects. Basic angular size change calculations should take place, i.e. twice the distance, half the size, rule of thumb calculations, etc. Step 2, following step 1, all refractive, weather, temperature, and visual effects should be accounted for and added to the final determination, i.e. visual occultation, optical drop, weather, temperature, etc. For globe earth, step 1 should be all curvature calculations based on distance of object and from observer and observer height should take place pre-angular size change calculations and should include 7/6 or refraction and be done using one of the official curvature calculators online, which reference a sphere Earth with an average radius of 3959 miles, i.e. Metabone quarter baseline, etc. Step 2, negating all visual, refractive, weather, and temperature effects. Basic angular size change calculations should take place, i.e. twice the distance, half the size, rule of thumb calculations, etc. And then step 3, following step 2, all refractive, weather, temperature, and visual effects should be accounted for and added to the final determination, i.e. visual occultation, optical drop, weather, temperature, etc. So that's just a quick list of rules, and I can add to it if anyone wants.
We definitely will.
Yeah. Because this is like things that are not being done. So what I'm going to point out 2 things that were not done. First of all, on the globe side, step 1 was not done. They did. Step 1. They just calculated. Step 1. They calculated the flat earth angular size change and tried without adding in any refractive, weather, temperature, or any of these visual effects. just a basic rule of thumb, twice the distance, half the size calculation, and then matched it up to their, in some ad hoc way, to their globe out curvature calculations. But what they didn't do is they didn't add in, then after doing these curvature, they didn't actually do the curvature calculations and then do basic angular size change calculations and then do refractive weather, temperature, and visual effect calculations and added all of them to their final result. They didn't do any of that. And with the flat earth side, they just did step 1 and didn't do step 2. So they never added step 2 for flat earth, and for globe earth, I don't even think they did any of them. They just decided after step 1 for flat earth didn't match exactly what they wanted to see. They decided it was a globe. So one second now. This is the photograph, right? What's that on the mountains over there, right? That's snow. This is taken in late evening. There's snow on the mountains. That means that it's cold. So we know in late evening, right, and in cold conditions, that light is more likely to be bent down the way and pulled down the way. So if they do correct angular size change calculations for a flat earth, which is basic calculations for angular size change, and then add in all the refractive weather, temperature, and visual effects, i.e. Blackpool getting in the way of you actually seeing the base of the mountains, all these kind of things. If you actually add in all that stuff, right, then they can make some kind of an ad hoc claim. Until then, they can't make any claim.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. And that's part of the start of an extensive list to follow. Now, they've already compiled this list like we're compiling the 4 observer heights, one of which used Google. Bloody idiots. Anyway, these clowns don't really know what they're doing. Don't even know how the photo's taken from by the sounds of things. Definitely don't, as we've got 4 of them, so who knows? But meanwhile, all they've done is some slapdash apply perspective and try and debunk it. Absolutely pathetic. So we've started the things you guys need to go and get for your little straw man that burned bright, fast, and died with us now, humiliating you. Yeah? By pointing out that your comparison, when you accept that things get smaller with distance, and we point out, and have been for about 3 straight years, your calculator excludes. We're going to want that parallel. We're going to want you actually accounting for things getting smaller in your Earth curve calculator, because you're begging the question, proof of nothing. Perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator does not change the size of any targets. And if you're an audience member and don't know what that means, whenever they're calculating for a globe, it'll be a feet and inches or meters value ascribed to the target, meaning that you cannot actually see any significant change with distance. A 10-foot wall's a 10-foot wall a meter away or 1,000,000 miles away. And that's how their calculator works to exclude angular sizes. But yet when they compare it to flat Earth, suddenly it's only angular sizes, and they're going to show how only angular size doesn't work. All right, what about weather? We've shown Kosho, we've got a time lapse. Obviously, stuff's changing minute to minute almost. So you're going to need that data to make your claim. Right, Anthony, I've got you up.
Did I miss it? Did Kosho say weather doesn't exist or not a factor in
That's
anything?
correct. Yeah, I trimmed that out.
Oh, wow.
I overlaid it with Bev Try Thinking. Thank you very much. I'll put credits to you in the description of the info box of the video that's coming out tonight at 7:45 UK time. That video has got him saying, though it's not going to change. And as he's saying it, I've got Bev's showing it over 30 minutes changing significantly. So, yeah, we've already got to the point where we can demand that they go and get the weather data. Shock and awe, they asked us for it when we were debating the Isle of Man, and Anthony had got the imagery of the Isle of Man. Obviously, it was his imagery, as opposed to some thing that he found. But nevertheless, he was demanded to get all of this legacy information, which he obviously was scratting to get because he hasn't got it at the time. And neither have they. But we'll hold them to that in the first instance, and then there's a list of about 80 other things that we can add thereafter, should we choose to, if they actually go and get off their ass and do some work. Because at the moment, they're just making baseless assertions about perspective. It's pathetic.
Right. I want to make 3 or 4 points. And it's all to do with motives and intentions to deceive. And I want to show these because I'm not familiar with what the claim is with regards to how much drop there's meant to be. All I've heard so far is there's drop. demonstrable drop. And I don't know how much, I don't know what's being claimed. But what I want to show you is a couple of pieces of evidence for you to weigh up yourself and interpret. First piece of evidence is on Fight the Flat Earth's recent video, he's got Ranty chatting away about this video, the image. 2 points about the image. We all know that the original image has got this bit on the left-hand side, right? But you can see that Ranty's not presenting that. Now, is it on its own? It's not enough, because it could be that he got the image from Ruhif. It could be that he cherry-picked it himself. Who knows? But the point I'm making is that he's appealing to the Fight the Flat Earth audience, and he's not showing all of it. Now, on its own, it's 50-50. But they've got Bev in the background, and they're actually selling T-shirts or sweaters or whatever, saying #thanks Bev, whilst plugging their show for the whatever it is they're doing, something to do with ghosts. And they're saying thanks Bev, and they're saying come and buy the tops, because any money that's earned will go and do this, that, and the other. Now, what Bev actually did was he went back to the same location and he got another image. And to be fair, he wasn't trying to match it. He was just trying to get another image to see whether or not the mountains were relative in the same position to the tower. And his conclusion on the evidence that he obtained was that it was similar. They've credited Bev, thanks Bev, in a way that makes the audience think that Bev's proved something. And all he actually did was went back to validate some part of it to see whether or not the elevations were consistent with the tower. But by presenting it as a thanks Bev, it implies that Bev's proved Ball Earth, which is totally dishonest. Now, back to the claim.
On a low YouTube level of producing like people.
Yeah, but that's an old trick.
What is going on? Sorry, Anthony.
Go ahead, Anthony.
News.
I just wanted to make those 2 points now. What I want to focus on now, on the back of those 2 points, in this image that we see, there are 2 pieces of footage. There is something in the foreground that looks like it's stretched out widthways, and there's obviously the clear mountains in the background. But I think we can all agree that there is 2 points to the whole image, right? There is something in the foreground, and there is the clarity of whatever's in the background. And I'm going to say that the stuff in the foreground is significantly closer because it appears to be bigger, and I'm going to show evidence to indicate, well, to prove what it actually is. Now, bear in mind, we don't know what the claim is for how much is supposed to be dropped, but we know that these mountains are all about 2,000 feet tall. And we know that if we're seeing 2,000 feet tall, we know that something that would be hidden, say, if it was, say, less than 1,000 feet, you would expect it to be behind the Earth's curve. If I was to show you evidence that shows that this mound here is 1,000 feet tall, and it is clearly not just above the horizon, it is 1,000 feet above the horizon, okay, it might be a little bit squashed. But if I showed you that this was 1,000 feet tall, this mound at the bottom, and therefore then I could say there is no missing drop in this evidence at all, then they're going to have to come up with something to quantify the drop that they're claiming. Because the mountains are 2,000 feet, I'm going to prove to you that this is only 1,000 feet. And if we say that that's 2,000, that's 1,000, plus it's a bit squashed. That's why it's not 50%. I'm going to say that the sea level here is the level Earth, the plane that we're living on. Oh. How do I come to this conclusion? Well, what I've done is I've put on Google Earth, I've put on the guy where he was at his observation point on Southport, and I've lined up with the Scafell and Scafell Pike, which are the 2 highest mountains in England. One of them Scafell, the other one Scafell Pike. Doesn't really matter which, but the point is that these are the mountains that are in the background. Now I want to draw your attention to this. If I zoom out here so you can see the whole line that I'm drawing, you can see what I'm referring to here now to do it. I've got obviously the observer. You can see the arrow as I'm moving up and down the line. It moves up and down. The observer's at Southport here, and as I move up the water, I just clip off the edge of the Blackpool town, go past that, and I start getting onto the woods to where the coastline is. And now I get to the coastline, and we have a bit of relief elevation, right? We have this mound that's here, and this is 985 feet. So we'll call that best part 1,000 foot. But then, if you accept that there is going to be obstructing everything that's behind it because it's all lower than it, that bit there can't be seen by it. The only other thing that could be behind it would be this bit and perhaps this bit. And these 2 bits, when you're looking from down here, they're going to be virtually parallel with each other. You may not even see the back one. It might not be Scafell that we're seeing. It might be this thing in the foreground. But the only other thing in the middle ground is this. So what I want to do now is I want to zoom into this to show you what this is.
Just before you do. Okay, you can feel free to do with whatever with the map, but the elevation profile at the bottom, Anthony, there's no drop in that elevation profile across that entire distance. This elevation profile is demonstrating
it's a straight line.
It's a flat surface.
Straight line. Straight is the word. Horizontal would be the better word. Let's use the word horizontal.
Between those 2 points, if you're going to describe what is occurring over those 2 points with a line of sight between the 2 peaks, you're describing it across a flat surface. So we will be using Google Earth as it shows Earth as measured flat. This elevation profile has no 8 inches per mile squared drop. It is showing it exactly as we experience it. Flat.
Right, so don't rumpus my point, because this is it. So this point here, I want to show people what this is, because if you accept that everything behind this, up to this point here, can't be seen because this mountain is blocking it because it's a straight line of sight to it, then what is this mound? Because this is the only other thing that's obstructing the view. Now, if this is less than 1,000 feet, and we know that it's in the image, then they're going to have some explaining to do. Now, that's where you can see where it is. It's there, isn't it? So let's just pull this over. There. We can see that that is 985 feet. So what is it? Well, if we pull ourselves down a little bit, we can see that there's a reservoir up there. So what do they do with reservoirs? They build them at high elevations, don't they? And what do we see? Oh, I'm just trying to get it a little bit closer, but not that close. And what do we see with the land that we're looking at? You can see that it is a gradual, shallow hill. It's not a peak like a triangle. It's a shallow, flat thing, and it's quite wide, and it matches what we see. So if I go back to the original image, look at the shape of it. You've got this long, shallowy thing that's here, and that is matching the only other obstruction that is possible in the image, which is this. I can't really show it now because I'm not in the right place. But the point I'm showing you is that there is no other elevation blockages. There's that one, and then you end up with the peak in the mountain, the mountain in the background, which is a combination of these two. There's nothing else. So when we look at the evidence in the footage that's claimed, this lower part here is 1,000 feet. That bit up there is 2,000 feet. Well, if that's 2 and that's 1, where's the drop? Because that's going to be ground level at 0. So I want somebody to quantify how much drop is supposed to be there, because we know that this is 1,000 feet high. And when you acknowledge that that's 1,000 feet, unless Google Earth's wrong, we've identified what this lower part of the ground is. And it shows that there is no drop. So can somebody please quantify how much drop's supposed to be missing in this evidence? Because there doesn't appear to be any, guys.
Can you go back to your elevation profile on Google Earth? Shout out to MultiTomTom, who says, thanks, Nathan and guys. Hold on, I can't see my light on this. Thanks to Nathan and the guys on the panel for what you do. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, MultiTomTom. Right, if you... let's just reshape my screen slightly so it's a little bit more stable. And then I'll make my point. Thank you very much for doing that, Anthony. I know you're all over this, clearly.
Yeah, this is the obstruction.
Hold on, don't rumpus my point. Hold on, I'm just lining up my screen to make my point. I know you want to reiterate yours immediately, but that's fine. Okay, so on this elevation profile, Anthony's describing 2 things that I want to address, right? I'll get your comments at the end, Anthony. So if you have Anthony's mouse on the left-hand side of this elevation profile, you just move it, there. This is how the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculations are done in what's called an orthographic view. So where Anthony's mouse is now would be you as the observer, and what you'd be looking at if you go to the peak that's almost the tallest on the right-hand side, you can draw a line of sight between those 2 points. In other words, there's nothing occulting it. But in this particular view, we can see our own head. Anthony's mouse, if he puts it on the left again, is representative of you. Well, you never get to see this. You never get to see the side of your own head in the view. Now, that's further to my point that I made when I was rumpusing Anthony's point, which is to say that this is showing it flat. The elevation profile has no curve of the Earth to make the point. And this is our point. Given that the mountain in the middle, the low peak, is represented in their maths as a feet and inches value, and the peak behind is also represented at a peak as a feet and inches value, even in this view, you could draw angles to both the top and bottom of those 2 peaks, and the angular size for both would be about the same, even though one's much, much taller. So the angle from the ground to this mountain, at that peak where Anthony's mouse is now, versus what you can actually see, i.e. what's not occulted of the mountain behind it, those two angles off the deck, you could say are roughly the same for what you could see. The only difference between the two angles is what you can see of the peak behind has a wider angle to it because it's higher up, whereas what you can see of the peak in front is limited by the deck, represented as a very flat surface in this particular imagery. So the flat deck is the only thing that obscures or limits your angle. So from that peak to the deck, that's what's going to stop your view in terms of its limitation of angle. But that's not represented when you give the mountains in feet and inch or meters values, rather than giving them in angular representations and show pictures like we actually see them, with a horizon running left to right. In this image, on the elevation profile, there is no horizon. There's no demarcation between sky and land in this imagery, and that's why they do it, because the demarcation between land and sky, a horizon, is going to be claimed to be the reason you can't see the bottom of this mountain when this one's getting in the way because Earth's curved away from you. But Google Earth isn't showing that. Google Earth showing it as flat. Hello, Quantum Eraser.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can you grab the thumbnail from Master B or Ballbusters for the show for tomorrow?
You want me to get the thumbnail for Ballbusters, episode 60?
I just popped it in Ballbusters and Master B.
Okay, I'll just... oh, I'm on the wrong screen to have it look nice. Hold on, let's just get that sorted. There we go.
Blackpool Swan.
Blackpool Swan! Oh, I've been racking my brains.
I told you.
Brilliant.
That's excellent. I love it. Blackpool Swan.
I laughed my ass off last night when I saw that.
Yeah, I christened her last night.
Oh, that's great. I don't know if you've been listening, and I've been very excited about all of this. It's great.
I just want to quickly summarise my last 4 points. 1, Ranty didn't show the full image on Fight the Flat Earth. 2, they're doing hashtag thanks Bev as though he's proved something, and all he did was validate and verify the observation. That's totally dishonest and misleading. 3, the amount of drop has not been identified as far as I'm aware. Want to know how much it is. And 4, there's only one obstruction in front of those mountains, and it's that little mound. And that little mound is 1,000 feet tall. It's clearly evidenced in the picture. It's clearly above the horizon, and there isn't anything missing, guys. Come on, we need to know what's being claimed as the drop, because there isn't any.
So we've got a list already, QE, of people, because we've got 4 observation heights. I mean, these people are so incompetent. They can't gather data, and they've got 4 observation heights. It's pretty pathetic. So we've set them to task. Further to conversations with Kosho yesterday, which I think you were privy to anyway, they need to get the weather information. You know, the bare minimum. Obviously, that list of things that they're going to be getting for us to make their little straw man burn a little brighter and longer, we'll be adding to that little list as well. But meanwhile, they've opened the floodgates to the begging the question, proof of nothing perspective, hijacking Earth curve calculator, and its lack of perspective. And I'm going to add that to the list that Brian made earlier. I don't know if hopefully you're listening in, Brian. We've just presented in an orthographic representation how we're going to be making our claims in terms of how it would look, what's occulted with the mountains on a flat plane. That's what's just been shown by Anthony Riley. So I don't know if he wants to flick back to that particular view from Google Earth. I've got you up, Anthony.
I just want to make 2 quick points before he does, as connection to his thing, Nathan.
Okay, go ahead.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Very quickly. The weather and temperature here is obviously cold, like I pointed out earlier. So that's going to cause the mountains to be seemingly pulled downward. If you were in Bev's observation, the time lapse, there's movement up and down all over the place because the weather is not like it is there. It's not as cold as it is there. Whereas that there is cold with snow on it. So they have to take that into account. They have to take the weather into account when they're talking about angular size change, because after that they have to take in weather and all the other visual effects, everything. And on top of that, right, the reason I'm saying that is because that goes along with what Anthony was saying, with them trying to claim that there was some kind of drop after they've done their calculations. They haven't taken all these things into account, the cold weather, all these things, visual occultation, they haven't taken any of that into account. Secondly, this is the other thing, I'd like to see an elevation profile from the photographer that goes across Blackpool and then to the mountains. That's what I'd like to see.
Well,
Thank
further
you.
to that, Brian, that's why I tried to involve you in this particular addition to your list of things that are going to be required. Anthony Riley has just shown a representation in orthographic view on a flat plane. That's what he's just done. Yeah, that's how it would be, flat. Because it was flat, and it is flat. Now, obviously...
And it matches the observation as well.
Yeah.
Mind you.
Just guys, please don't run past this last point. So, we are presenting what was tongue-in-cheek originally presented as being a flat Earth model. But how handy it is that we can now literally show you how it presents on a flat plane. Because that's what Google shows you. So that's how we will continue when we rip apart your incompetent nonsense moving forward. We'll also be saying, where's your model? Show us it in an orthographic representation with curve and drop so that we can turn it 90 degrees into reality with a real horizon that's claimed to be Earth curve and ask you about the perspective that isn't involved. So we're going to need your model. Obviously, we've got that aspect covered. It's flat in Google. But you haven't got that. So where's yours? We need the same thing as Google Earth, but with drop represented. So that when you've got an orthographic representation of the lay of the land and where things are in relation to heights of other things, very critically important when you build things on the level plane that we actually dwell atop. And that's what people use when they use Google Earth Pro. And it's flat. But we're going to need that showing that there's curvature involved that isn't factored in when they're building things on the flat plane we actually function on, as represented in Google Earth, and we will be using going forward because it's represented flat. But you won't be, just to be clear, because it doesn't show any drop.
Hey, for a teaser.
Oh, go ahead, Corn.
Yeah, for a teaser tomorrow, the new radius of the Earth is going to be released.
Nice.
Oh, we got a 2021 radius. That's what's up.
Is it bigger than Jupiter this time?
Nah, hold on. Just wait till tomorrow. It's going to be released tomorrow. It's at least this far. Tomorrow.
I know. It's at
Hold
least
on to
this
your hat.
far.
So isn't that crazy? If you're a globe earther out there, well, you might not actually deal with the labels and all that. That's for us, for the church level folk. But if you're just a person who's listening in, and you've heard, well, on Google Earth, they have an elevation profile in which from point A to B is basically a level plane. How do you feel? Like, why it's Google, right? The Earth is a ball. Why isn't it curved at 8 inches per mile squared? Ask yourself that.
That's why they put the drawing in the top part of it that shows the CGI yellow line map bending.
Yes. Indeed. The cartoon bends, but the measurements that are actually used by professionals on a daily basis, they're all flat. The measurements are flat. The critical bits are flat. The representations in orthographic view are flat. And as I say, any further claims of sphere Earth, we're going to need to see that modelled out. Now, obviously, just telling us where the target is and using your maths that's got a pathetic geometry with a tangent horizon, without anything actually modelled on it, like Anthony just showed the entire mountain range, a few mouse clicks. Isn't that amazing what we can do as flat earthers? But you haven't got a representation like that for the globe. Why not? It's pathetic. I'll tell you why, because we're asking in a rhetorical manner. Because the Earth is obviously, observably, and measurably flat.
In a perfect world, wouldn't it be conducive for these guys that have made this claim, especially from what I'm hearing, ranty, to come here and tell us about this, talk to us about this, especially being that, like, you know, he started over here. Like, wouldn't it be like a great closure? Like, we finally proved globe and we've presented it to Flat Earth Debate, and we can shut it down and go our own ways. Like, what? Why is nobody here doing that?
There's a reason why.
I'm confused.
They say we're too mean.
Oh, feelings.
Hey, last thing before. Hey, let me have the last thing before you close out, Nathan.
Don't rumpus me, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Kiwi. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't. Are you getting ready to close out?
I am now, but go ahead.
Blackpool Swan, won't you come and wash away the rain?
Blackpool sun, wash away the curve. Wash away the curve, Ted.
Oh, God, I hate it when they force me to rush into an outro. If you are watching this, however, on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Stream, stay tuned as there will be an epic after show to follow. Massive thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible, and a massive thanks to all of you watching in the Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either programming stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!